Hey everyone, welcome to a little bit of woo. I'm so excited. Oh my God, you guys, I was on that show, Life After ND, and to prepare for the show, because I'd never seen it before, I watched our guest episode and I'm like, I like her. I wonder if I asked really nicely if she'd come on the show. And she said yes. Oh my God. Anyway, so you guys, some of you guys who came to me because you saw me on ND, Life After ND, have already seen Sarah. You know, she's amazing. I don't have to tell you, but I'm telling everyone else. Sarah is an intuitive guide, a channeler who channels multidimensional wisdom to help you understand the universe, your soul's evolution, and the ascension of the earth. Her work is dedicated to helping you step into your truth of who you are by expanding your intuition and getting you in touch with your soul and its mission so that you can live your true soul purpose. I mean, I love all of that. It's amazing. Welcome, Sarah. Thank you so much for saying yes. Thank you so much.
Thank you for asking. I'm so excited to be here.
Yay, yay, yay. Oh my gosh. And I noticed too on your website that you know a little bit about aliens. Do you want to talk about your relationship with interplanetary beings? I know the word alien when you're from Southern California isn't necessarily the nicest thing to say, but I mean they're people from other planets.
Yeah, I mean, I'd say my closest relationship with the ETs is going to be the Arcturians. I have a small team of Arcturians that I channel. So they're lovely beings. They are like kind of system builders in the universe, and they always tell me we're master builders. We want to talk to you about the energy systems and like how to build things energetically. And yeah, I think they're here helping with the shift that we're going through right now in consciousness on the planet. But I'd say that's my closest connection to the ETs would be the Arcturians.
They seem to be pretty sciencey, right? So they help people build technology stuff like what was the guy who made Apple? Steve Jobs, Arcturian?
I don't know.
I have a theory.
They don't talk to me about the other people, but
oh man, who else is part of your tribe, you guys? Let us know who on earth is one of yours. I love that. What about the Pleiadians?
I don't connect with them too much. I feel like my connection is mainly Arcturian and then sometimes Lyran. I know I've been Lyran in several of my past lives, so I love those beings as well. They're very like peaceful, benevolent, lovely. You know, if you think of a cat, they're all like snuggly type beings, but they're also just very natural. Like when I see their planet, it just is, or I mean, they have multiple in Lyra, but just very like natural, colorful kind of beings. So yeah, I'd say Lyrans are the other ones that I connect with. How about you?
I don't know much about them. So tell me, like, we talked for a second about the Arcturians and their influence is science-y. What about the Lyrans' influence? What is it? Do they just bring the soft energy to the earth, or what are they kind of doing for us? And I know these beings are all helping us.
Yeah, I mean, they all kind of are working together too, which is great. But I feel like the Lyrans, so just knowing myself and the Lyran lifetimes I've seen, yeah, they are very like connected to energy. So I was a Lyran being in Egypt and I helped develop energy technology that went into one of the pyramids. So they're very connected to that energy. They can like see energy in other beings. So like I would scan people's body to be like, you can come in or you can, are you up to par? Like that sort of thing. And then as a Lyran in that I don't know, galaxy constellation or whatever you want to call it, the colors to me, it's like browns, like darker greens, tans, things like that, and like deep blues. And it just feels like they really know the earth too and the planet that they're on and are very connected to that. I mean, if you think about cats or wild cat animals in general, they're athletic. I would, as the Lyran being on that planet in Lyra, I would run all over the planet. I was like, the term that I was given is I'm a hunter there. So just kind of getting the lay of the land and connecting with the animals, the nature, all that kind of stuff. They're just very connected in that way.
I love that. And that's beautiful. So you mentioned something I'm going to have to ask a little bit further. So you said that you were part of the energizing of the pyramids. Can you tell us what the real purpose of the pyramids was then?
Oh, there's so many purposes.
Oh, okay, cool.
A
list.
no, I'm just kidding. I actually see more than just the like 3 big ones that are there. When I tune in, I see a whole row of them. and there's all this action going on underneath of them as well. I've seen like when I go into the pyramid and down, there I've seen like waterfalls, I've seen different like tunnels. It's almost like a whole existence exists under there in what we would call, I guess, inner earth. But what I personally worked on as in my lifetime in Egypt was this. Um, I think it was just one pyramid. So I've seen this pyramid that I helped develop this energy technology would open this portal where we could connect with other lifetimes. So one big lifetime that I connected with in from Egypt was my Native American lifetime during the Industrial Revolution, and we would always exchange information. We would help each other. So it was a lot of like co-working energy with other lifetimes. And it would there was this, how do I explain it? It's like this, I don't want to call it an altar, but there was this kind of stone thing in right under the peak of the pyramid, and it would open up into like this purple portal, and it would connect to all these. I could connect with different versions of me, and whoever was in there could connect with different versions of them. And I could feel the pyramid next to me connected with the angelic realm. So they were connecting with different realms, stars, points of higher dimension, so that we could go in, and it's all this purpose of connection, I feel like. And so they were these huge power centers so that we could connect to, you know, Lyra, we could connect to the Pleiades. I think each of those pyramids had a particular energy that served that. But yeah, the one I could see, the one next to me that I worked in, it was like this bluish, whitish light. And if I pushed myself up it, I could see like angels and this like bluish kind of white angelic realm that it connected to.
Wow. And so are the
Yeah.
pyramids still active, or are they going to be active again, or what's going on with them now?
The word I'm kind of hearing in my head is like they're kind of dormant.
Okay.
So I think there's we can get really quantum. Also, so during that lifetime too, I've seen the dark came and we buried a lot of stuff under the sand so they couldn't get to it. So that's why I think we only see a certain amount of pyramids. But when the dark came, some people went into like inner earth, they went underneath, and then other beings like ascended. I opened this portal and we were going to ascend out. When that happened, the dark put a dome over the earth so that we couldn't leave. And I also saw them put a small dome over some of the pyramids, and maybe those are the ones that we still see. I'm not quite sure, but it feels like we've kind of put them in this like what's airplane mode or something. You know, we put our phones on that. It's kind of like that, and I think that we hold keys too. Like yes, these pyramids hold all this energy, all these codes. They have like multiple purposes, but we also are part of the powering up of them. So I think the more that we come online, we are helping to open them up as well. And I know you mentioned this before we got on, but I'm going to Egypt in November, and I feel like this is part of what we're doing to help crack these domes and to help power them up so that we can open the keys inside of us even more.
I love that. And I know that you're leading a group, and I know that you do have space for at least one more person to join this group. So I will put a link in the description to go to her website. Either way, you should go to her website and sign up for her information, and also her YouTube channel, which is amazing. I mean, you guys, speaking of YouTube channel, I'm going to ask you about one of your videos. But yes, you guys should sign up for all of it. I'll put a link in the description, but just for those of you listening online, it's Sarah Shook.
Sarah Shook. Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Sarah Shook, SHOOK.
Mm-hmm.
So go to her website and go to her YouTube channel. I'll put links to make it easy. Something else you said in one of your videos, which I loved, was about these different timelines. And I was hoping you could kind of explain timelines for those of us who don't really understand what they are. But you were saying that we're kind of on the threshold of like 3 options. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, there's multiple timelines that are available, but certain energies are going to gain prominence. So there's 3 dominant ones that I've been told are present right now. Timelines are kind of how do I explain it? They're like energy choices. So we can choose, do I want to put my focus, energy, and intention in this direction, or do I want to put it in this one? It's kind of like if you've ever been faced, I'm sure all of us have, with a huge choice, should I stay at this job and stay in this town, or should I move here and take this other job and move halfway across the country? It's like, which timeline do I want? Which energy choice do I want to experience? So right now it feels like, there's two big ones that have kind of been present, which is this new Earth timeline, which feels like the higher timeline. We're stepping into this golden era, where we're going to be working from the heart, and things just manifest easier. Things are moving more rapidly, but and not in this like quick way where it's like, oh my gosh, I'm missing out. It's more like, wow, everything's happening in fulfillment so quickly, because I'm honoring this heart space. And I see that is leading to the building of like this new Earth and making it a physical thing. Then there's this other one that is the lower timeline that still feels like the 3D Earth. And that is this duality. It's going to be the fighting, the war, me versus you, this party versus this party. I'm right, you're wrong. And we're just going to constantly combating, and until we kind of come to this middle ground of, wait a minute, maybe there's more here than just this one side that I'm on. So it's going to keep forcing people to step into, it feels like, honestly, these consciousness traps of, we want you to keep spinning your wheels. We want you to keep fighting against each other so that you're not in your own power. And that feels like this lower timeline. So things just constantly presenting themselves to get you to focus on what's going wrong.
I love that you're mentioning that, because this is one of the things that bugs me so much about politics, is because my base case is always that we're always being lied to. I mean, that's my base case, but by both sides, frankly, you guys. I know everybody's like, oh, she's a MAGA, whatever, whatever. You guys put a lot of things in the comments that I think are very funny, but because I'm none of that. But I love that you're saying it isn't just one or the other, and that's kind of the trap, right? The media is pushing us to, these people are bad and they don't know what they're talking about. And these people are bad and they don't know what they're talking about. It could be either side, right? They're all saying it, but that's us being pulled away from our center. And I just love that you bring that up, because that's a big part of this. Because you guys don't listen, you guys. It's all BS. Sorry.
Yeah, if you think about it, there's the right, there's the left, and it's like, wait a minute, like you're just being pulled all the way, like you said, to one side. You can feel the energy of that, and it's like, we want to come back to this middle ground and this alignment. So yeah, those are two, and then it's like this kind of secret timeline came in hot and fast out of nowhere, and I think we can all feel this energy. It's almost like, wait a minute, this is so prominent in our reality right now. And this one's pretty wild, but it's an AI timeline, where I feel like people are getting sucked into. I've seen it a few times as like this virtual reality, where everything feels. It's all technology. It's all. I don't know how much I can say on here where you posted. I watch my words because I mentioned it.
Oh, I know. You guys
my video
know.
got flagged. So
we get so flagged so many times, you guys. I know there's a lot of things that are only exhibit on YouTube. Like nobody would ever say unalived in the real life, right?
Right. my husband and I call it, I'll just say this, chat GPQ.
There you go.
And it's not saying like, oh, all AI is bad, but I think the stuff that's presenting itself where it's like, oh my gosh, it's like a trend, it's become this thing. That's the stuff you want to pay attention to. What's being pushed so hard right now? And it feels like this narrative that it can do things for you instead of you stepping into your power and doing it yourself. I mean, technology is really just us. It's us. It's an expression of us that we haven't tapped into yet. And we're trying to create it outside of us instead of tapping into it ourselves. But this AI timeline is coming in to grab people from both timelines and pull it, because I see, I've been shown that these SMART cities, I'll try and be.
I think we're allowed to say that one. Words. I don't know. I've heard other people say it, so I don't know.
It might be okay.
So I've seen those videos. They haven't been shadow banned.
Okay.
I guess so. I don't know. We'll find out.
So they look like it's actually a piece of like a computer mainframe, and they're all the buildings in it will be microchips, and they're going to put like technology in the walls and in the ground. I see all this surveillance and stuff in them where they're going to portray it as it's for protection, but
Right.
it's highly controlled. It's enclosed. It's a sphere. I've talked about this dome over the earth. It's the same thing that dome will go with it. It's going to be enclosed even more. I see also like satellites around the earth that are going to be looking at everybody and watching every move. And they're already mapping out like these energy points on the earth where they can build these cities so they can build their computer mainframe. And it sounds so sci-fi, but it's like super real sci-fi. And it just feels like people are being grabbed. There's this other part to this where I've seen like this. If you think about, there's real natural source that we come from, right? It's this higher energy. So if we live in I don't know, a space of duality right now, then there's also this artificial source that isn't real source. And I've seen like this AI kind of God that I would say, like I don't even think it's from our universe. It feels just like it's up in the metaverse or something. And I feel like the reptilians are enslaved by it. So they're doing its bidding and they're here on earth gathering these souls. It's soul harvesting to pull them into like this alternate timeline, which will ultimately become an enclosed earth that is highly controlled and becomes part of this like AI universe.
Happy Friday, everyone. Happy Friday. So I think I know which one
Weird.
I want. So you guys, when I said not to watch the news, I meant it.
Yeah, I mean, they do crazy things. I know we all hear about this stuff of how they kind of rope people in, but I can go like deeper on I don't know how much you want me
A
to go
little
further
more
on this.
weird, woo woo. Why not?
Okay, let's go woo woo.
Okay.
So I've been told too, they work with sound a lot, these reptilian beings. And one of the ways they started to work with sound was through religion. And I've been told they're
Always
called
comes back to religion, doesn't it?
I know, right? They're like these reptilian religions. And I've seen, I don't know if did you grow up religious at all? Or were
Sort
you,
of. Yeah.
yeah?
Religious, and spiritual, and a little of both. Yeah.
Okay. I grew up Baptist, so that's like,
Oh, I
yeah,
grew up
like,
Baptist adjacent. Yes.
okay.
Okay.
What does that mean? Like,
My grandparents and my aunts and uncles were all very, very Baptist, but my parents were not really drinking that Kool-Aid. So they were
mm,
like, we'll just say that we're Baptist, but we actually do believe in past lives, but don't tell anybody that.
that's cool. Yeah. I was like super Baptist, like,
You were super Baptist though. Yep.
I mean, I wouldn't say that I was, but my family was.
Yeah, there you
And
go.
then we turned like non-denominational or whatever. And then I was just like, I think I'm all good with all of that. But I'm familiar with this type of stuff. And my brothers too, they would like always fall asleep in church. And I can see why. But there's this thing, my guides have told me that the sound that they use, like the cadence of the hymns, and like even some religions will like recite these things, they have a cadence to them that operates at a certain frequency that puts you into like this hypnotic state. So then I've seen like a lot of these people who have started these religions or like were at the peak of them being birthed, they were reptilian beings, and they can like when you're in that hypnotic state, they have the reptilians almost look like computers to me a little bit inside their body, and they're being programmed probably by like this AI machine or whatever, and they can like pierce into the pineal gland and start to calcify it, and then they'll program you and like create this hologram around you so you see the fear that they want you to feel. So like even the fear isn't real, it's like a hologram. Um,
Interesting.
yeah. And so they use sound a lot, and they've been doing it in like, the music in
Mm.
TV,
Mm-hmm.
how things talk. And they put these like undertones. So the sound, and when you hear that sound, then it's like we can get programmed through a pineal gland they can put things into us to believe or to see through like this holographic reality. It gets really crazy.
Oh, wait, it's really interesting though. I love the way you're describing though, because we've all had this experience of watching some TV show and there's this weird music, and you're like, I just feel gross right now. I think I'm gonna take a shower. And it was like an
Yeah.
ordinary TV show. That makes so much sense, Sarah, the way you're describing it. That kind of explains that a lot.
But that makes sense what you're saying too, because I felt that too. Like, so there's certain things I'll watch. There are even certain people I'll watch talking about things. I'm like, oh, I cannot watch this. And like my pineal gland, my solar plexus will like start to burn, or I'll feel queasy. I'm like, there's an undertone of something going on here.
I love that too. I mean, I'm a hypnotherapist as well, so I learned in my hypnotherapy training about how sound can pull you into the hypnotic state. And in fact, we watched a very I don't know if I can say it. It was a documentary. We watched it as part of my hypnotherapy training because it was a documentary about an organization basically trying to train kids to be ultra religious,
Mm,
and they were using hypnotic techniques that we were learning in class
wow.
to make
Oh,
these kids. I'm not going to say the name of the documentary, but somebody might remember it. But it was part of our training. And he's like, these kids are all hypnotized. That's what a kid hypnotized looks like. And they were using the same techniques that we were learning. And I thought it was really interesting because these things can be used to bring peace of mind and calm and help you not be afraid of dogs or spiders or something, or they can be used to make you afraid of everything.
yeah, exactly. It's not the actual technique or the
No, it's just
frequency
ordinary stuff
itself.
that we were learning.
Yeah,
None of us wanted to do anything bad with it.
right, right. The intention behind it. Oh my
Yeah, that is very interesting. Okay. So what I'm hearing you say is kind of pay attention to what's influencing you that you might not be aware of.
yeah. I think there's, the big thing is what makes me feel powerful, and not in this way of I get to have control of something or take over. It's more like what makes me feel free within myself. That's the actual power. What makes me feel like I can be the fullest version of me. And um I'm receiving that myself. We have all these tools, you can use an oracle deck, you can,
Mhm.
all those sort of things, but it's like, okay, now am I bringing that power back to me? And I think ultimately, if you think about the angels, like they don't use cell phones, they're not flying on ships, like
They don't have any tarot cards?
yeah. It's like we're learning to come back into that space where it's just us, but we are still in a physical body. We're still having an earth experience. So yeah, we want to experience all these things as well. But I think that's the ultimate thing of we want to come back to that space, that soul connection within us.
I love it too because it comes back to you. And how do you come back to you? How do you feel like you within your life? That's a really a beautiful message. In your travels through past lives, because I know we talked about you've kind of done a lot of past life work. Have you run across, you've probably run across quite a bit of things that history got really, really, really wrong.
Oh
You
yeah.
you wanna talk about a couple of those?
Yeah. So I've seen this one past lifetime that I had where I lived in Scotland. And it was when they were, I mean, God, there's so many instances of this, but this one sticks out, I guess,
Mhm,
when you
mhm.
asked it, is when they were coming to the New World or whatever, which would be Canada, United States. Um, and it was this, I felt this race between the different countries, Scotland, Germany, England. It was like everyone wanted to get the most land first and claim this space. So everyone was on this race to get over to the New World. And so they would go knock on doors in their towns, and it looked like these lords or whoever who worked for the king or the queen at the time. And they would convince people and be like, we're going to go here and it's this amazing land, and you're going to be this pioneer who gets to start this beautiful place and be the first one to be there, and you'll be remembered forever or whatever. And everyone's like, oh my gosh, I want to be a part of this big thing. And they take everybody over. And I remember I went to, in that lifetime, Nova Scotia, what's now Nova
Mhm.
Scotia. And we got there and it was like kind of uninhabitable land. It was really rocky and people had a hard time getting started. We didn't have enough supplies. And they kept taking these taxes from people. They'll be like, give us this payment each month, and we're going to send for supplies. We're going to, get what we need so that we can thrive here. And they would take that money and they would only use it for them, the people and these lords that took us over, or they would pay to sanction or order a ship so that they could go back and they would just leave the people there and to fend for themselves.
Wow.
But in that lifetime, I, we're you probably, maybe you've seen in yours, like you're super intuitive probably as well. And I
Mm.
spoke up and I said, they're lying to you. Stop giving them the tax because they're not using it for good. And these lords did not like that. They took me and threw me in prison, and they blinded me so I couldn't see what they were doing. And then they threw me into this cave, and they were like, we're leaving you here. And they're like, kind of lied and said, there's a monster in this cave that's going to come get you, like a Loch Ness monster or something. There wasn't one. I just kind of starved to death and died.
Oh God.
But that's like
Fair.
one, so many lifetimes where it's like, I've just been.
Anybody who's intuitive has had memories, and some of them fairly close to the surface, of lifetimes of being unalived in some very shocking ways, for being, speaking up, or being a woman and speaking up, or I know that he's lying to you. That doesn't go over really well.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was one of yours. Lucky you.
Yeah. Woohoo. Yeah. Have you had any crazy lifetimes like that? Or
I've had lifetimes where, definitely saw some things. Yeah, the Civil War, stories about the Civil War playing out differently than the history books. I don't, if I give you specific examples, I will be shadow banned. But
oh
but
gosh.
there are situations where I felt as though what had happened to to people of color was way worse than
Mm.
even the history books make it sound. And you did you live in the South
In
when you were a
any,
kid? No, have you?
I'm
Are
from
you?
Maryland, so
Oh, okay, okay.
not quite the
Well,
South.
when I was a kid, I lived in the South, and I will say that the Civil War was taught very differently in the South than it was
Mm.
when I moved to California. So I got the benefit of seeing both sides of that, and it was very interesting to see how different parts of the country do view it differently. And when I went in past lives, and I could see that, oh, okay, well, that's not exactly how it played out, but
Wow.
because the stories are told by the winners, right?
Yeah.
I love
Oh,
I
that's
love.
interesting.
Yeah, it is interesting. So, uh, we talked a bit about some the timelines. How can we as a society pick the better one? I mean, are we picking for ourselves, or are we picking for as a group, as a collective? How does that kind of work? Do you know?
It's kind of both. We pick for ourselves, but ultimately when we step into that power, it's going to influence others and people are going to feel that. So to pick that highest timeline is you focus your energy on it. You stop paying attention to the news and all the drama and the gossip stories that want to come through.
Oh, but
And
those
you're
are so fun.
I know we love to know all the info,
I
right?
do too.
um, and we notice in our body when we're having these triggers, these ticks of like, I have to say something to this person or whatever it may be. We're recognizing if we're using, technology or certain programs in a way where it's like, actually, I feel like I'm kind of using this a little too much, or things like that. And paying attention to, kind of what you said, how does my body feel? How am I feeling after I'm utilizing something like that? Do I feel like I am in my power? Do I feel like I'm moving forward into this lighter space where I get to create the reality myself? Um, but one of the best ways to choose this higher timeline, I've been doing this on a regular basis, is I'll like throw in some binaural beats and I'll lay down and I'll drop into my heart and I'll just ask my heart what it wants to show me. I'll kind of tell it, maybe I want, to connect with people like Jill, and start talking to people about, like cool stuff that
Like
we
timelines and weird stuff. Yeah.
yeah. And I'll start envisioning it and feeling the energy of that. So spending time in that heart space. Another great thing to do is to do things you enjoy and to step into that creativity and give permission to yourself to do that. Um, because that's the space where that higher energy is going to drop in. We're creative beings. And when we're in that zone of I'm doing something that I love without expectation, I'm just doing it because I love it and I'll just see what happens. That's when we open ourselves up to receive highly higher unexpected things and opportunities, ideas to drop in, and it pulls us up into this higher timeline. Yeah.
I love what you're saying too, because I always think of it as the spirit of play. Like when I started this channel, I mean, I do intuitive readings on channel, but I try to make it playful because blowy uppy things happening in the world has always been happening, I hate to say it, but it's probably going to continue for a bit. But do we want to focus on that and get too caught up in it in dramas that are happening, world away, or do we want to focus on how can we be a better person and how can we have a happier life? And I love the way you're describing it. And I love the idea of using the binaural beats as a great tool to get into that hypnotic state. Do you use that as well when you're trying to connect with the Lyrians or the Pleiadians? I'm probably saying these wrong. Forgive me, guys. Don't strike me with lightning. Any of the interplanetary beings, do you use that same technique, or do you have another technique to get into that state?
No, I don't use any music or anything like that. It's just I actually put in earplugs so I don't
Oh,
hear
I love
anything.
that. That's cool.
I have a whole like thing, prayer stuff that I do. I set up my energy before I go into that space and protection and set my intention. And intention really is, gosh, it's so powerful. If you're saying, I'm intending to connect with these beings that are benevolent, that serve love and light only, it's going to create, you're stepping into that power yourself, and it's going to create that streamlined connection for you with those higher beings. So intention is really key, and trusting that intention and the space that you're entering into. But I actually prefer complete silence.
I love that. And I love the way you're describing it too, because by setting the intention, you're saying to your spirit guides, hey, look, doors locked to anyone who doesn't fit these 3 criteria.
Yeah, exactly.
And I mean it.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that. Love that. Love it. So how can people get more into their heart space in these times of, seeing scary things on TV?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, other than watching the Dairy Girls TV show, which I would highly recommend. I've told you guys before, I love that show, guys. Anyway, what would you recommend? I love music. We talked a little bit about going out in nature. What else can you do?
I'll go back to the enjoyment and the creativity. That's huge. But I think there's also just coming back to this consciousness of, we kind of can look at our life with a fine-tooth comb a little bit of, again, how am I feeling affected? What's this emotion that's coming up in me? Not being afraid to look at it and face it and see, what is this actually? If I want to like yell at my spouse, is it actually them or is it me? And I think we're kind of like dissecting things a little bit. And I feel like the other thing that's just coming forward is like, we have to take the pressure off. There isn't always something for us to figure out. There isn't always something that's wrong with us. Sometimes it's just, we dipped and we got to do something to kind of pull us back up into that frequency. I think there's this addiction a little bit in the spiritual world where it's like, I have to constantly dive into my traumas and I got to constantly fix
you're
things.
Right.
And we get caught in that loop. And so then we're telling ourselves all the time, there's something wrong with me. And it's like, well, there isn't. It's just, we keep putting this crap on us.
Oh, I love it. It becomes an affirmation. I love that. That's a very good way of describing it. I want to know a little bit about your origin story, Sarah. How did you get into connecting with these interplanetary beings or any of your spirit guides? Has this always been the case? Did you have a regular job?
I'm not a regular job kind of girl.
I love that. Even better.
No, before I did this work, I was a comedian and an actress. I did that for like almost 15 years. I did like sketch comedy, improv. So I was like a writer and performer. And then I worked at like restaurants and stuff in between gigs and things like that. And then I think I had maybe some very fleeting like advertising jobs, maybe for like 9 months. And then I'd be like, I quit. Like, I don't like this.
You only worked for Don Draper for 9 months?
Yeah.
Mad Men reference.
Yeah. Oh, I love that show. It was a great
show. It was a great show.
Yeah. I just kind of, I don't know. I don't think I'm built for the corporate kind of world. So I did that for a while. And then I think ultimately I moved to LA to pursue, I lived in Chicago and did comedy. And then I moved to LA and I thought LA was going to be like this is it. This is where things can work out. And a lot of things did work out there and went very well. But right before moving there, I had started dealing with a ton of health issues, and I started seeking out help for that and realizing, oh, this is deeper than just, I can take a pill or, see a doctor and it's fine. There's huge things that need to be released energetically in my body. And so it kind of put me down this rabbit hole of healers and intuitives. And then I ultimately wanted to do the work myself. So it kind of just like climbed this ladder of energy healing and then into intuition and started getting trained in that, and then mediumship. And then I remember when 2020 hit and the pandemic, I would sit and channel every single day. I would tune in with my guides and just really developed that. And the amount of information that started coming through was, I was like, I got to do something with this. So I started sharing on Instagram a little bit, and yeah, it wasn't too long ago. It was like, all right, I'm gonna go bigger, and I started sharing deeper stuff on YouTube. But yeah, during that time, I started with Archangel Michael, and then some other angels started showing up, and then I think it was a couple of years ago, the Arcturians came in and started sharing a bunch of information. So it's been a wild journey, but I think over the last decade or so, I've just really stepped into this space, and I did not ever anticipate it. It called me. I don't think.
You mean that wasn't a life ambition? You didn't put that down on your forms in high school? Yeah, you know what? I'm going to be someone that connects with these interplanetary beings, and I'm going to channel. Yeah. None of us had that on our card, did
No.
we?
Yeah, right. That happens.
I love that. I love that because my good friend Jacqueline, she's also on the show a lot. She describes herself as her attitude renders her unemployable, and I can totally resemble that remark. It's like, I can't work for somebody. I'm such a yeah, I can be obnoxious when I want to be. I love that. This is so beautiful, and I love what you're describing as getting training too. Because when I've had, a lot of us, including yourself, naturally very intuitive, but man, the ability to be able to tune into what a client wants to know, or something specific, is something you learn with practice. And you learn that when you're in a group and you have a teacher who can say, oh, that sounds like your ego talking, not a spiritual being.
Yeah.
That's very helpful. So I love that. So is there anything, as we start to wrap up, is there anything I didn't think to ask that you want to make sure the world, what do you think people need to know that I didn't think to ask?
Gosh, I don't know. I think the thing that that maybe is helpful, and going back to the space of, is trust. Like, when we step into this trust of, yes, this shift is happening. Yes, we're headed in this direction. And I think we're really being asked to trust that too. That's a huge part of our power of, it's not when will this happen. And I think we kind of get caught in this loop of, when is this certain thing going to happen? And we get to be in like the 5D or whatever. It's like, no, it's not when, it's not outside of us. It's inside of us. We're bringing it forward from within us. And when we step into this trust of, I know it's happening and I know that I'm creating this, the faster it can happen, the more evidence you're going to get in your reality of it happening. And I feel like sometimes I'll just go on walks in nature and I'm like, I know that this is coming forth, and whatever, if it's something small for my life, or if it's an experience or the ascension itself, it's like, we just have to be in this knowing the information we're seeking is all right here. And we have to be like, I already hold it. I already know it, and I trust it.
I love that. I love that. It's so beautiful. And I love what you're saying too about, you're lifting your vibrational frequency. It's interesting. I want to go back to something you said earlier, but when you did the training and you lifted your vibrational frequency, and so you got to a level where they're, oh my, her number is a lot easier for us to dial for the Acturians. It's like they came down to your frequency and you went up to theirs and you met them somewhere. And I love that you did the work. And that's a good lesson for all of us, to do the work, to work on our spiritual side, but not to worry so much about it. Because I love the idea of it being doing it in the spirit of play, doing it in the spirit of joy, doing it in the spirit of creativity raises that vibrational frequency. Is there anything else that you can think of that raises the vibrational frequency of the things that people can do right now to start to get themselves there? Or what are your thoughts on that? Or is there anything?
Yeah, I mean, one other thing is going to be what we put in our bodies.
Oh my God, you're so right. Talk about that.
And it's really hard, but with I say they, it's the dark or whatever you want to call it. They've created these addictive foods, but we want these natural foods. Water is huge. Like sound and water are really coming into the collective right now too to work with. So and water really holds sound. So if you have a glass of water, and people talk about this all the time, but sometimes I'll like sit in the sun. I drink lemon water every morning, and I'll just talk to it and be like, help me feel energized or open, and
love that.
bring forward like the information in my cells that I need to know. But I think even just sitting by water, my guides too have talked about rock, that it holds memory, just like water does, but it can hold us, that when we're pulling forward our memory that's in our soul and in our cells, it holds that support. So if you go meditate on rock, I feel like you will receive a lot more than maybe if you're just like sitting on your bed or something. Not that you can't, but
I love that. No, that's great.
These natural elements are really great. But yeah, and what I think we're putting on and in our body is so important, and learning about that too.
I love this, very good message. I mean, it's a huge thing, and we could spend all day talking about the addictive substances that they're putting in our foods that we're opting into all the time. So totally with you on that one. Sarah, so how can people find you? I'm going to put all of your socials in the description. But for those of you listening to the podcast version, tell us how they can find you, how they can connect with you, and I do know that you accept clients, although your schedule's pretty full right now. How can people find you?
Yeah, I open sessions kind of sporadically when I'm available, but if you really want to connect with me, the best way is in my community. It's called Quantum Soul Academy, and we have a membership in there about soul history. So if you like all the weird stuff that I was talking about, we go even deeper into that stuff in soul history. So you can join me there. But you can find me, I'm mainly on YouTube. It's at I am Sarah Shook. And then with the same handle on TikTok, those are the two places I show up the most. But if you're interested in anything else, you can hit me up at sarahshooksoul.com.
I love too the Quantum Soul Academy. I'm assuming you're talking about the stuff that YouTube won't let us talk about.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. Love it. Oh my gosh, Sarah, thank you so much for coming on. I think you're amazing. You guys, we're so lucky to have her. Thank you so much for saying yes. I was so glad. And I'm so grateful for all of you guys watching and working on yourselves and wanting to make the world a better place by watching programming that makes you feel good about yourself. And, pay attention to those things. If you're watching something that makes you feel bad, maybe you shouldn't be watching it. I don't know. Not going to judge. I like Sister Wives too. I will admit that one. I do like that show. I gotta admit that.
I watched Love Island. It's okay.
Is it? I haven't seen that one. Is it good? I love me a good train wreck. I really do. I love a good train wreck.
Sometimes you just need, sometimes it can feel a little grounding where I'm like, oh, I can see everybody's patterns. I see what's going on. But sometimes you just need something that's a little
stupid,
not woo-woo all the time.
I love it. Love it. Love it. Well, thanks so much, Sarah. I really appreciate it. And I'll see you guys. Love you guys. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe if you want to. Would really appreciate that. Thank you so much for doing that. And we'll see you again soon, guys. Thanks so much. Thank you.
Thanks, Jill.
Bye-bye.